What's going on, guys? Welcome to the channel and welcome to another top 10 most expensive list. And today is all about the Sega Genesis, or depending upon where you live, the Sega Mega Drive. Now, I play so many imports that I'm so used to calling the Genesis the Mega Drive that when I go to retro stores, and not really my area but other places when I travel, I'll ask to look at some of the Mega Drive games and they'll look at me like I'm crazy, like, Mega what? You know, some of the guys that work in there that actually play retro games, they'll know what I'm talking about. But before we start this video, let's check out some honorable mentions. There's a couple of games in the honorable mentions list that I would have thought for sure would have made the top 10 most expensive list for the Sega Genesis. But let's check out the 10 most expensive Sega Genesis games of 2019. At number 10, we have Skeleton Crew. Now, according to the information I'm reading on SegaRetro.com, Skeleton Crew was never released in Japan or Asia, so I'm assuming that it had a release, an NTSC-U release, and maybe a PAL release. I'm not 100% sure on that. But it also says that there was versions for the Amiga and the Amiga CD32 that were also released, so pretty cool. Skeleton Crew appears to be an action game with run and gun shooting elements. They kind of give you a top-down isometric view, and I'm not too big on the isometric stuff like that game Viewpoint, you know, not really a shooter that I'm into because of that crazy view, but this game does look pretty interesting, and I'm assuming it's pretty rare because I haven't seen this game around in any retro store or out in the wild in my area. But it does look like a game, if I could find cheap enough, I'll definitely pick up. Anyway, coming in at a price of $150, Skeleton Crew is the 10th most expensive Sega Genesis game of 2019. At number 9, we have Rockstar. Now, Rockstar is a game that I have not found yet in my area. All the stores I've been to, nobody's got this game. And I actually have looked for this before. It became pointless because I could never find it. I mean, unless I wanted to buy it online for a crazy price. But according to Wikipedia, Rockstar was actually published and developed by Sega for the Sega Genesis and came out worldwide for the Sega Genesis in February of 1995. Now, they go on to say that there was a Game Gear version of this game that released under the same name. I haven't seen that one either. But again, I don't really have a way to play Game Gear games. This game looks like a really fun platformer, at least to me. It's got elements from games like Rocket Knight Adventures and Flink. I actually just sold my copy of Flink on the Sega CD because I'm not really too into platformers on that system. But it's got elements from both of those games, at least to me it looks like it does, even though Sega and Konami and the other company that made Flink made those games. It just has like elements that kind of remind me of those types of games in this game. So if I find this for a deal, I'll definitely pick it up. It'll probably be card only because coming with a price tag of $155, damn. Rockstar is the 9th most expensive Sega Genesis game of 2019. At number 8, we have Splatterhouse II. Now, I've heard a lot of people online talk about how Splatterhouse III is like the rarer of the Splatterhouse games. To me, I could think of 2 retro stores in my area that have complete copies of Splatterhouse II that are, you know, within 20 miles of where I live. That's not very uncommon to me, and even the TurboGrafx-16 version, I know a lot of stores that have those Hue card only. I've never seen a copy of Splatterhouse 2, never seen it at a retro store in my area, never seen it at a convention. I've only seen it online for sale, and I've seen the price tag that comes with it, so I'll hold off till I find one for a deal, even if it is card only. Now, according to Wikipedia, it says, and I don't know how true this is, but it says on August 4th of 2008 the game was released on the Wii Virtual Console in North America, and it goes on to say that it is the first and only ESRB M-rated game to be released on the Virtual Console. I don't know how true that is. I might want to look into that, but that is pretty interesting information. I've heard that Wikipedia can kind of have some false stuff on their website, so we'll see. Anyway, coming with a price tag of $160, Splatterhouse II is the 8th most expensive Sega Genesis game of 2019. At number 7, we have Grindstormer. Now, Grindstormer is my absolute favorite Sega Genesis shooter. Now, if we added the Mega Drive into the mix, there's some other games that would beat it out, but since we're only dealing with the Sega Genesis, Grindstormer is my #1 pick. I love Grindstormer, the mechanics that it brings to the table. The spread shot, focus shot kind of thing by moving forward and backward was very innovative for the time. And, you know, companies like Cave really refined and kind of made it their own. But, you know, to me, that kind of mechanic really originated in games like Grindstormer. I absolutely love it. This game is really, really, really difficult. It's one of those games when you die, you got to restart at a checkpoint or restart at the beginning of the level. I'm surprised I don't know that off the top of my head. I think it's at a checkpoint, but it does get very, very difficult. This is a game that is a must to use with the Game Genie if you want to master it, and then take the Game Genie away and play it like you normally would to kind of refine your skills a little bit better. You know, in Japan, this game was called V5. You know, that was the Mega Drive version. But over here, we got Grindstormer, and this is one of those rare instances where I think that the Sega Genesis cover art looks much better than the Mega Drive cover art. Anyway, coming with a price tag of $180, Grindstormer is the 7th most expensive Sega Genesis game of 2019. At number 6, we have Elemental Master. Now, I'm going to be completely honest here and let you guys know, I've never played this game. I've never seen this game at any retro stores, conventions. I mean, hell, I never even heard of this game until I put this list together. But that's what's so fun about doing these lists. I get to learn about new games that I think that I would like to play. So, this shooter was actually released by, or developed by Technosoft, which, if you guys don't know, they made a lot of the games, or maybe all the games in the Thunder Force series, except for maybe the PS2 version. I think Thunder Force 6. I don't know if they did that one. But that's pretty interesting. So, Technosoft developed this game. That gets me interested right off the break. You know, it kind of reminds me of some of the SNK shooters that released on the MVS, you know, back in the 90s. And maybe the AES too, maybe the Neo Geo CD. I'm not 100% sure. You know, this kind of reminds me of like Akari Warriors, you know, if you guys know what I'm talking about. But, again, if I find this game for a deal, I will pick it up because this game is very intriguing to me. As a matter of fact, this list has been awesome so far. But I'll probably want to find a card-only version of this game because coming with a price tag of $185 for a complete version of Elemental Master, Elemental Master is the 6th most expensive Sega Genesis game of 2019. At number 5, we have Growl. So what is Growl? Because it's got some pretty crazy cover art. Well, basically Growl, or known in Japan as Run Arc, is a side-scrolling beat-em-up game that was released in arcades by Taito in 1990. Now, this game released on the Mega Drive and the Genesis in November of '91, so multiple regions during the same year. But Growl is part of the Taito Legends Volume 2 collection that came out on the PlayStation 2, original Xbox, and Microsoft Windows. So before I made this video, I'd never even heard of this game. Yes, I might have seen it at a store or something, but I had no idea what I was looking at. Now that I know this game is part of the Taito Legends Volume 2 collection, I'm going to play it when I get home. Hell, I might live stream it. Anyway, coming with a price tag of $190, Growl is the 5th most expensive Sega Genesis game of 2019. At number 4, we have Mega Turrican. Now, Mega Turrican, according to Wikipedia, is a 16-bit action shooting game developed by Factor 5 in 1993 and marketed by Data East. So, when I look at gameplay footage of this game and I look at this Factor 5, I feel like this is their answer to the Metroid games on the Nintendo or Super Nintendo. You know, just look at like the roll mechanic and just how the guy's jumping around on the screen. It screams Metroid to me. Although, I will say, I've never really been a big player of any Metroid games. Maybe I should try them out. I heard the one on the Super Nintendo is awesome. But it just kind of reminds me of that, just looking at the gameplay footage. I've heard about this game. I've actually, you know, had people tell me that I should go get this game. It's a really good game. I've had a lot of people tell me about it. But it's not really a common game out here. You know, I find a lot of cool stuff, but I've never seen this game on the Genesis. You know, maybe the Mega Drive version is cheaper. I have no idea. But I will say that at $195, Mega Turrican is the 4th most expensive Sega Genesis game of 2019. At number 3, we have The Punisher. Now, I'm looking at this game and I'm thinking, what makes this game so special? I look online and find out that Capcom made the game, and really all you got to do is look at the front cover art in the top right-hand corner. The Capcom logo's there, but Capcom made some great beat-em-ups, and that's what this is. This is a side-scrolling beat-em-up. You know, never played this game yet again. I got plans on playing it now. I'm probably going to download it and play it through an emulator like many other games on this list. You know, unless I find a copy of the yard sale or something. There's no way I'll find a copy of this for a good deal, card only or not. This does look pretty cool. It looks like something I would love to play, you know, maybe live stream for you guys. I don't know. But all right, ready for this? If you want a complete in-box copy of The Punisher on the Genesis, it's going to cost you $275, making it the third most expensive Sega Genesis game of 2019. At number 2, we have Crusader of Cynthia. Now, this action-adventure game really reminds me of Zelda. You know, I haven't really played a lot of Zelda games, maybe a couple on the NES, and I haven't even played the Super Nintendo version. Nail me to a cross, I've heard it's a great game. But this game kind of reminds me of Zelda, and I can see how somebody at SEGA, I don't know actually who, I know Atlas brought it over, but I don't know who actually developed this game. Didn't do that much research for this video, but this really reminds me of Zelda. So this is somebody's answer to Zelda, kind of like Mega Turrican was somebody's answer to the Metroid series. At least that's what it feels like to me. I thought I had this game card only. I remember playing this game years ago. I don't know if I sold it. I don't know if it's lost somewhere, but I can't find it. I wanted to flop it out for this video and show it to you guys, but I'm not going to be able to do that. It's an expensive game. If you want a copy of Crusader of Cynthia, it's going to cost you $400 for a complete in-box version. Card only, I'm sure a little bit less, but at $400, Crusader of Cynthia is the second most expensive Sega Genesis game of 2019. At number 1, we have, you guessed it, Musha. And those of you that follow the Sega Genesis, this is no surprise to you. I mean, this has been the most expensive game on the system for, well, as long as I can really remember. Now, this is known as Eliste over in Japan. It's kind of funny that they called it Musha over here, because Eliste is a series of shooters. One more notable shooter in the Eliste series is Robo Eliste on the Sega CD, which is not as good as Musha or Eliste, the original Eliste. At least not to me, I don't think so. I think the original Eliste, or Musha over here in the West, is the best game, or the better game. Now, it's kind of comparable to Gigawing, the way Gigawing 2 just didn't compare to Gigawing 1. That's kind of the way Robo Eliste compares to Musha, at least in my eyes. This is a great game, although I don't own a legit copy. I have played this game for many years. I do like it a lot. It's really good for somebody just jumping into shooters because the difficulty curve is not that bad. You can kind of, play this game on easy or hard for that matter and do fairly well compared to other shooters, especially in the bullet hell genre. Now, if you want a complete in-box copy of Musha at the cheapest, okay, ready for this one? $500. $500 for Musha, complete in-box. Card only, it's another story. I recommend just playing it through an emulator or getting a repro copy. They have some pretty nice repro copies out there, but at $500, Musha is definitely the most expensive Sega Genesis game of 2019. Guys, look, I feel like this is the best top 10 list out of all the systems I've done so far this year in 2019. Like I said, sometimes I base how good a system is based on lists like this. I mean, you have Musha, you have a shoot 'em up is number 1. Crusader of Cynthia, which I might have card only somewhere. But there's copies around here of Crusader of Cynthia that I could get. There's in retro stores in my area, which is kind of crazy. Grindstormer, Splatterhouse II. The honorable mentions are all good. This is a serious list, and this really, if you think about the Genesis Mini that's coming out, and the fact that Sega hasn't released all the games, but some of the games they released are kind of blowing people's minds. I mean, think about if they drop some names like Musha, Crusader of Cynthia, Splatterhouse 2 and 3. Zero the Kamikaze Squirrel. Maybe they have released some of those names, I don't know. Just the fact that M2, and I'm wearing my M2 shirt, the fact that M2's handling the emulation, and I love the Shot Trigger series, everything they're doing with those Japanese shooters is just, it's phenomenal. Hopefully some of those PSN games will actually get physical releases from, some kind of limited release company. But I just love the Sega Genesis. I'm really kind of anticipating the games that they're going to add to the Genesis Mini. I don't even know if I'm necessarily going to get one. I probably will just because M2 is involved, and hopefully you can, hack the thing and add ROMs to it. But let's talk about some of the games that I actually have on this list now. 2 of them are honorable mentions. All right, so first one I have is Splatterhouse 3. Now, if you guys didn't know, these things come with original Namco cases and Namco carts that they made for the Sega Genesis. So if you buy one of these, and this one's actually in excellent shape, I don't know if you can see this, but there's Namco branding actually inside of the box. So make sure you look for that if you're one of those sticklers for having like original complete copies. The second game that I have, also a honorable mention, is Castlevania Bloodlines. This is the cardboard version, so this is the second print. But mine is in excellent shape. It is complete. I keep it inside of a plastic case protector, retro protection protector. So yeah, and this is supposed to be on the Sega Genesis Mini, so this was announced. And the last game, this would be phenomenal if they added this on the list, because I know they're adding a lot of shooters. or more shooters than other mini consoles that have come out, and that's Grindstormer. Now, this is an interesting game. So Tengen are pretty much Atari. Some of the Tengen carts have been known to have issues, at least from what I understand. This one doesn't. This one's in excellent shape. It is complete. A lot of people are saying their Grindstormer carts don't work at all. Everyone I know that has a copy of Grindstormer, it works, but I just the buzz that's going on the internet. Mine works. It's in excellent shape. I keep it complete. And, I'm surprised that, Troubleshooter's not on here. That's kind of crazy. I would have thought for sure that would have been on this list, but no. And, some of these other games that are on this list, I would love, like Rockstar, I would love to play, but I just haven't found it yet, But when I find it, even if it's card only, I'll definitely pick it up. And again, with the SEGA Genesis Mini, if you think about what Nintendo did with the SNES Mini, adding like the Star Fox 2 that was never released, and all the RPGs, and the SNES Mini was phenomenal. Sega has the opportunity right now to blow the SNES Mini out of the water with their games, the people they have standing behind their system, the fact that they're taking all the fan information and kind of using it to their advantage and to benefit the customer is great, and a lot of companies don't do that today. It seems like a lot of companies are doing the other thing. It's like Sega's really worried about how people feel about them, and that's what's up. So anyways, I hope you guys like this list. I think this is the best list that I've done so far, at least for the most expensive for 2019. We'll see what happens with the other systems that I do. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching. Now, remember to like this video, and remember, if you like awesome video games, to subscribe to the channel. Till next time, guys. Peace out.